to the Metalcore Nerds podcast. I'm Sean Mott, the host of the show. This one is episode 1, very first episode. It's with Ethan Harrison from Great American Ghost. Today we're talking about Avengers Endgame. So Ethan has a ton of problems with this movie. The biggest movie of all time, made $3 billion, and he has so many problems with it. So this discussion is me trying to convince him that what he thinks are plot holes are not plot holes. It's long, and it's a pretty wild conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. Before we get into that, I'm going to go over a little bit of news. So there's not a ton of news items. As you know, everything's kind of on hold in the world. But there's a few things in the Marvel standpoint. It's been confirmed by Vin Diesel that the Guardians of the Galaxy will be in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is really cool. There's a new untitled Sony Marvel project in the works, which is exciting to me. I'm not sure what it's going to be. There's a ton of theories out there. But it seems like the MCU is going to have some sort of involvement in all these new Sony movies. So that gets me excited for that. And then a few rumors. Kevin Smith heard a rumor, and he talked about it on his podcast that Daredevil might be in Spider-Man 3. And it's been said that it could be Charlie Cox reprising his role from the Netflix series, which would be very cool to see. And then a new rumor came out today that Atlantis might be in the Eternals, which would lead to Namor possibly being in the Eternals. That's really exciting. I hope it happens. I guess we'll see whenever that movie comes out. Hopefully it still comes out in November. But with everything going on, I know it's hard to tell with all these huge movies what's going to happen because everything's kind of on hold, even the production. But with that, let's get into the discussion. Hey, Ethan.
Hi, Sean.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm, just fucking living my life in quarantine, just killing the game, surviving the game, in the words of Ice-T.
So you're actually in quarantine right now?
I'm in quarantine. Yeah, I'm in a 14-day quarantine right now because some dude I worked with has COVID-19. So I'm here, baby. I'm all in it.
You haven't felt sick or anything, though, right?
No, I'm totally fine.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. I'm completely fine. And I think I get out in like 6 days or something like that. So I don't think it's gonna.
Are you going to go right back to work, or is your work kind of on hold with everything?
Oh no, dude, work is fucking on and popping, baby.
Well, I mean, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, work is on and popping.
I want to tell the story of how we met because it's pretty funny and it involves my wife, Sam. I think we met at Warped Tour. I think. Not the last one, the one before the last one, maybe? Or did we meet at that show in Syracuse? I don't remember.
We met at the show in Syracuse. That's the first time we met. We were internet friends.
Yes.
I think we had spoken on the phone.
Oh, yes, we did.
I think I called you and tried to get you to do something for me when I didn't even know you.
Yes, I think that's right.
And I think you said no, which I was like, huh, I like this guy. I just respected. Yeah, you're like, I'm definitely not doing that. And I was like, oh, I like him. So then we became friends through the internet and through the speaking on the internet and texting.
Yes. And
then we met at a show in Syracuse that my band, Great American Ghost, played with Downswing and Degrader. I almost just called Degrader Liam. I don't know why.
Just Liam.
Just Liam. So I almost, So we met at that show, and we were there, and I was excited to meet you because we hadn't met yet, but we had talked a bunch, and I knew that you were going to be with your wife, which I had never met or spoken to or anything before. And apparently we had come to the conclusion that we were both at the Vanna last show.
Yes.
At the same time, but there were legitimately, I think 3,000 people at that show. So who the fuck knows where either of us were, or if either of us could have seen each other at all. But that night I played in a band called End, apparently the most popular band in the world. And I played in that band, and I played in it with a guy who's in the band, actually in the fucking band, because I'm not, a guy named Will Putney. And apparently you had met him that night. You met Will that night.
Yep. I talked to him at the merch table for a little bit because it was a similar situation through music industry stuff. He called me and was like, "Hey, let's work together on this band." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we just chatted, or maybe we didn't even work with a band yet. Maybe we just talked a few times. Like I just introduced myself. I was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Right.
If there's
And
anything in the future we can work with.
To be fair to Sam, there was a lot of meeting and greeting at that Vanna show.
Oh yeah.
So she probably saw you meet a lot of people. She probably met a lot of people. So that is me giving her an out for what is to come, which is we played in Syracuse and you showed up while we were playing.
Yes.
And we like had the on stage like hello moment or whatever. And then after the show, after we played, we like met at the merch table and I introduced myself to you, obviously, and then I introduced myself to Sam, your wife, and she like adamantly refused to meet me because she was like, "I've already fucking met you." I think was her exact words.
Yes, probably.
And I was like, "No," I was like, "You haven't." And I'm confident about a lot of things, probably more so than I should be, but I'm mostly confident in my memory, which I have like an impeccable fucking memory. So I'm like, no, I've never met you. How would I have met you if I just met your husband, who is our only connection, right? Like the only reason we know each other is because of your husband. And she was like fervent. She was like, she's like, I fucking met you. I can't believe you don't remember meeting me. And she gave me like this rash of shit. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, I've never fucking met this girl in my whole life. And I was just like, all right, like whatever. She was so adamant about it that I just kind of like let it go. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, fine. I guess like we've met, even though in my head I'm like, we've never met. I've never met you.
I was super confused too. I was like, where would you have met him? And I said that to her. I was like, where? Where did you meet him? And she goes, the Vanna last show. We talked to him at the merch table. And I go, no, that was Will Putney. And she blatantly goes, oh.
Yeah, she thought that I was Will Putney the whole time. And also she was like, your conversation with her happened away from me because you guys walked away for a second and then that little thing happened. So then she came back over and was like, hi, I've never met you. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking know. And she's like, I thought you were Will Putney. And I'm like, why would you think I was Will Putney? She's like, well, I thought I met him at the Vanna show and explained that whole thing. And then I was like, we were on the same stage at the same time. Like Will and I,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like we were, and he was doing a different thing. Like he was playing a guitar. It's just like we're two different people that were in the exact same place. It's not like one of those situations where it's like, have you ever seen this person in the same room as this person? It's because they're the same person. It's like, no, Will and I are definitely not the same fucking person. So yeah, that's how we met. So she was convinced that I was Will Putney, which, you know, I guess it could be worse.
That's true.
It could be worse.
I really want to tell a story. It's probably one of my favorite meeting stories, especially with Sam involved in it.
Yeah, and now every time I see her, she calls me Will.
Yep. It's perfect.
Yeah, which is fine. Which is still fine. I mean, I like Will. If I was going to be confused with someone else, I guess Will is a pretty good option. So I'll take it.
That's fine. Also, we're a little more background on us. We have a long historied story of arguing about nerd-related stuff via text message. Heated arguments. Yeah.
I actually talked about you on a podcast that I'm not sure if you listened to it.
Really?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I talked about you on the we're cross-referencing now on Worship and Tribute Nerd podcast. I think it's a webisode actually, if you want to get really fucking technical with made up words. But it's Mikey from I Wrestled a Bear Once, his new thing where he does like nerd talk on YouTube. And I talked about you, and this is the best description I could give is like we were talking about Clerks 2, and I was like, you know that part where they're arguing about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and it's not Dante, but the other guy who is the best, Randall.
Yes.
The best part of that whole series is Randall. And Randall makes that dude throw up because he's talking so much shit about Lord of the Rings that he makes him throw up. And I literally was like, that is Sean Mott. Like that guy is Sean Mott. I am Randall, and Sean Mott is the guy that throws up because I talk so much shit about things he loves. And yeah, you get really upset with me, which I really like. And sometimes you say funny things like, well, if you understood it, you say like very funny things that always make me laugh. And I'm like, no, I understand it. It just fucking sucks. And which now brings us to this point, which I don't know if we've ever argued about something as fervently as we have about Endgame.
No, nothing, I don't think.
Because it really makes you upset because you cried when you saw this movie.
I've cried every time I've watched it. I've watched it like 5 times.
And every time I've watched it, I've been like, this makes no fucking sense.
Before we get to that, what got you into comics or anything comic related?
Oh man. So my brother mostly, my brother was a huge fucking nerd. And I can pretty much attribute most of the cool shit that I like to my brother. Because he was like chubby and weird, and when it wasn't cool to be chubby or weird, and he was like really into Nine Inch Nails, and he was really into fucking like Rage Against the Machine and like cool stuff like that. And then he simultaneously was really into comic books, and he was really into magic cards. And so when we were younger, when we'd go grocery shopping, in my local grocery store, like there was a comic book section. I mean, it's not really a section. It was like a rack of fucking comic books. And they would have like the new Marvel comics. And this was like in the early to mid 90s. So this was like it wasn't the golden age. It's like I think it's the silver age or something, when like X-Men was like really on and popping.
Oh, okay.
And so we would like read all the X-Men comics like while we stood there and waited for my mother to finish grocery shopping. So like that was kind of how I got into it. And then it just kind of like expounded from there. And you know as well as anybody that when you like get into something like that, like it just snowballs. Like
Oh yeah.
you just find another nerd thing to like and another nerd thing, and then you're like, maybe I'll try Dungeons and Dragons, and then you do, and then you realize that it's sick and that you're never going to get laid. But then you simultaneously like kind of start playing guitar, you know, you're trying to like level it out. So yeah, that's how I got into that stuff, and it just kind of like blew up from there. My brother was again really into magic cards, which I never got into, but we used to go to a comic book store called Hammer's Comics, and I would just like read comic books, and my brother would play magic cards. My brother was like number 2 in the whole nation at magic cards. He was like ranked 2nd. So needless to say, we spent a lot of fucking time at that comic book store. So
that's
that's how
crazy.
it started. Yeah, I love talking about, he's incredible at magic cards, and it's so frustrating, which is why I've never liked magic cards, because when your big brother tries to teach you how to do something that he is like 100 times better than you at, you immediately are like, well, fuck this. And I stopped. Like, I was like, fuck this. Like, I'd rather die than learn how to play fucking magic cards, because he'd beat me in like 3 moves, and he'd be like, that's how you play. He'd be like, that's how you play magic cards. I'm like, no, that's not how you fucking play magic cards. That's how you play magic cards. So yeah.
You're teaching me nothing.
Yeah, you're teaching me nothing. It's like, I don't know if you know this about me, Sean, but I don't know how to whistle.
I don't think I can whistle.
Like,
I used to be able to whistle. I can't anymore. Weird.
I can't whistle. And the way that people when they find out that you can't whistle, the way that people try to teach you how to whistle is they just whistle in your face. It's weird.
They just do it. They're like, you can't whistle.
They just do it at you.
Just do it, and you're like,
they just whistle in your face. And it's like it's like if I told you I didn't have a driver's license, so you got in your car and just sped off.
Yeah, like you're not in the car, just drove away.
Right? Yeah, just drove away. And that's how my brother tried to teach me how to play magic cards. He's like, I'm the second best person in the country at magic cards. This is how you do it. And then he would just whip my ass every time, and I'd be like, great, I fucking hate this game. I hope I never play it again.
It's like someone trying to teach you to play guitar, and they just rip the craziest solo in front of you.
They just play a bunch of
slow
Steve Vai songs.
Yeah, just super fast. And they're like, yeah, that's how you shred. And you're like,
that's how you
okay,
riff.
I'll fuck myself, I guess.
Yeah,
sweet.
Exactly. Right, which is exactly how I felt for the like 10 years of my life that my brother tried to make me learn how to play magic cards. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And now it's sick because you can just watch movies and not read, which reading sucks. So now I just watch movies.
Which is funny because I went the opposite. Well, not the opposite. I did more of the watching, and then a few years ago, Sam is ironically the one that got me super obsessed with this stuff because she bought me my first comic books. And
that's sick.
Then from there, it just became a rippling snowball of me being a full psycho and researching everything about anything I love. pretty much.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I like the most, the research part of it is ridiculous. The amount of stuff I know about Game of Thrones is fucking rough. It's painful. But and having never read the books either.
I know,
I just
right?
know a lot, but never read those books. Yeah, it's funny though, because like that's probably the best way to get into it, right? Because what I like the most about the MCU is that like you can kind of count on them to not do what's in the comic books ever.
Oh, nope. They
Like
take
I
an
always like it.
idea. They take an
Yes.
idea, inform it, but make it more
Yeah.
grounded in a sense.
It was like the people that were like, well, Nebula actually takes the gauntlet in the comics and then becomes the big bad. And I'm just like, that is not going to fucking happen, because those same people have only read comic books and have never watched the amount of movies that you or I have watched. And we know that the fucking Marvel universe is not going to hinge on Nebula. Like that's not going to happen.
No, she was amazing in Endgame, I think. To my opinion, her character was awesome. But
yeah, she
at
even
the same
invented
time,
she even invented new ways to time travel. It was incredible. It
we'll
was
get
really
to that. But also, she was like a weird skeleton-looking zombie in the comics before she stole the gauntlet too. So, and Thanos was in like an astral dimensional plane where he was ruling the fucking universe in the comics too. So, I don't think that would have made for a good movie either.
No, which I'm thankful for. I'm really thankful that they didn't fucking force me to like watch some, ethereal plane bullshit where he comes over. I just don't, let's streamline it. Let's get it to the good shit right away.
All right. So you're going to list your opinion on the plot holes, and then I guess I'm going to try and prove you wrong. Probably will not convince you at all.
No,
but I will try.
Well, let's do this. I'm gonna go in right now. This is my prologue for Avengers Endgame. I love the MCU. Obviously, some of the movies are cringy. I'm looking at you. Thor: Dark World was really fucking terrible, and like the second and third Iron Man are garbage. But like whatever, we're skipping it.
The third Iron Man is awesome, and I will argue that until I am dead.
Yeah, that's absolutely not true, but I appreciate that you're trying.
I love that movie.
It's so bad. It's as if they sat down in a meeting room and they were like, what do we love about Iron Man? And everyone was like, the suit. And they're like, let's take him out of it. It's fucking terrible. But anyway.
I loved it. It shows you.
Garbage.
It's great. It's like, hey, he's not just a dude in the suit. He's a smart dude. He can figure out stuff. Like he breaks into the whole Mandarin lair.
He's like a weird spy. And he gets caught, and the only thing that saves him is the suit. So he is just the suit. So anyway, I love the MCU, and I especially love Phase 3. Like some of the Phase 3 movies are the best films that MCU have ever done. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, not the best film that they've ever done, but still tolerable. Black Panther, wicked overrated movie. Killmonger is fucking terrible, and I will go to my grave with that. But whatever. Civil War is incredible, and a lot of them are great. And then that leads us to Infinity War. Infinity War is the perfect Marvel movie. It is fucking unreal. The best parts about it are like they don't waste any time. If you haven't been on this ride for 11 years, tough shit. Like here's this thing. Here's this fucking thing. We're going to go straight to Doctor Strange. Like what's up? It's like if you don't know what you're watching, you're screwed, which I love.
They are past the point of holding anyone's hand now.
Right.
There's like, you know it. If you don't, that sucks.
Tough shit. Right. So I really enjoy that part of it. And I think Infinity War is incredible. I mean, I texted you after I saw it, like immediately after I saw it.
Right after.
And celebrated it. I was like, they did it. Like, this is fucking unreal. And they kill everyone at the end. It's like, that is insane. They really pulled it off. I was in a movie theater at 10 in the morning watching it with a bunch of children who all cried when Spider-Man turned into fucking sandpaper. Literally cried. It was sick. I went alone because fuck it. I go alone to Marvel movies because I don't want to hear anyone else's opinion about them until I've made my own.
That's fair.
So I loved Infinity War. Endgame. is a good movie that I am holding to the standard of Infinity War. It is an enjoyable film, etc., blah blah blah. It has a lot of fucking plot holes in it, and like they are, they just don't even try to walk you. They don't even try and fill the fucking plot holes, because at this point they've given you so much fan service that they expect you to do it for them. So that is my biggest fucking pet peeve with Marvel and Marvel fans, and especially that movie. Like, there are a lot of fucking issues with that film, and it's almost like everyone just ignores them because they're so thankful that it exists. But like, that's an imperfect theory, because the only reason it exists is because of you. Like, you and me and the millions of other people who have seen those movies are the reason that Endgame exists. So I don't owe them shit. You know, like, I don't owe them anything. So for them to give me this like plot hole ridden fucking movie, it just frustrated me. And
Here's
so
my
I'm not
thing.
willing to give it the 5-star review that everybody else is.
I think most of these potholes can be explained with the exact thing you said about Infinity War. They're not holding your hand anymore. And they don't fully go, hey, here's a 10-page essay on why this makes sense. But they have included stuff in other movies where if you go, oh, yeah, that happened in that movie, that's why this makes sense. For most of these, I think they can make sense from a storytelling perspective, not just a I'm filling in the blanks for them perspective.
Okay, totally agree with you on the not holding your hand thing. But what I mean by not holding your hand is like, they don't try and explain to you why the Hulk is on the ship with the Asgardians, and then he gets sent to a fucking place in the Upper East Side of Manhattan that happens to be run by a fucking magician. Like, they don't explain any of that to you. That's what I mean by not hand holding. What you're trying to say is that we're going to walk you 10 miles down the fucking road and write the movie for you. That's what Marvel fans do. But I digress. We'll get there.
Okay.
So listen. So now I will go into what I have, the issues that I have with the film. I'll start with the minor shit that isn't really a huge deal, and then I'll go through it chronologically.
Okay.
Because fuck it. Okay, here's a couple issues I have. Captain Marvel's strength. These aren't plot holes, they're just issues I have with storytelling, because I do think that they owe us a good story. I don't think that I should be deprived of something like that just because they spent $1 billion on a fucking movie. So anyway, Captain Marvel's strength is completely plot based. Like, it is only used to progress the plot or slow the plot. And that is irritating. Like, she's hardly in the fucking movie, which I'm fine with. But, and I totally get that she's like off saving the rest of the planets, and I like that part of it.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
Then she shows up when it's most important, which makes also perfect sense, because that's like, that battle is where the fate of the universe is decided. So yeah, she'd be there.
It's the same thing as Thor coming in Wakanda. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
right. Well,
he shows up at the perfect time.
He was always going to go there. That was always the plan. But with Captain Marvel, she just shows up. But it makes sense that she shows up because she's policing the universe, and that's the most important thing happening in the universe.
Right.
But my issue is like, so she can roll through a fucking ship in that battle, but she can't get across the battlefield. She needs like the girl power team up thing. Like, that's just an issue that I just like. I don't love that. It was just a little cringy, and I wasn't huge on it. So that's it. That's one part.
Yeah, it was very fan service. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it. I think it was more of the moment, because when she flies through, she is demolishing people anyway. It's not like they're the ones actually helping her. It's more of just like, yo, we got your back, girl power. Not like
girl power, right?
Not you need our help, because she, she like dashes through the fucking battlefield. It's not like she has a problem going through the battlefield.
But then she isn't. But then she isn't strong enough. She gets punched by Thanos, and it makes her fly off the screen. But if she gets headbutted by him, she doesn't even feel it.
That's because he grabbed the Power Stone and punched her. That's the only reason.
That's a good point. Those second by second changes, I just have a slight issue with. But that's very that's very like nitpicky and
because
whatever.
like she holds the gauntlet apart so he can't snap, and
Right.
he tries to
He
headbutt her,
heads
does
butter
nothing, but then he grabs the power stone from it and decks
and then
her with the
punches her.
power stone, and
Right, right,
that's what makes her flying.
right. I was
Which
there.
makes
I
sense.
remember. Right, makes sense. Okay, so her her like power changing is a little bit of an issue for me, but
That one's going
some
to
of it can
be.
be explained.
Yeah, I feel like that one's gonna be hard in future movies because she almost has the Superman problem where she's so
Yeah,
like, what's really gonna be a threat to her? You know what I mean?
and
Like,
that was kind of the feeling I had when I was watching her origin flick, which I guess they were like holding her power back by the
to an
way of her
extent,
not
yeah.
remembering.
And
But it's
that they
like
had that little
now,
inhibitor thing on her neck too, or whatever.
yeah, but now it's like, what the hell are they going to do with this character? Like, what's even the point of watching the movie? But whatever.
We'll see, I
So,
guess.
yeah. Here's my next issue. Why are they so hot for snapping? Why are they so turned on by snapping?
It
Like,
just has to be the comic thing. Like, I know they did it
but
multiple times, but
yeah, but they did it for fucking everything. Like, the gauntlet doesn't only work when you snap with it. He's using it throughout the entire fucking movie. Why is snapping the only way that you can utilize the fucking gauntlet? It's like, it's just like it's a plot mechanism that is it's a little bit much. It's like they do it like 4 fucking times in the movie, and also throughout the entire film, it's just about snapping. Like, the whole movie's about snapping. That's a pet peeve. That's not an important plot hole.
well,
Moving on.
I think the snapping thing is mostly because it's the only thing you can do with your hand to make them all work at once, I guess. Because what else are you going to do with your hand that would make them? Because everything else is
Make a fist.
Yeah, but the fist is kind of how he controlled everything else. So it's like, why would you do the same thing to control 1 or 2 stones? Would you do all?
Fair.
You know what I
I'm
mean? Like,
moving on because we're
is he
nerding.
gonna
We're
do?
nerding too much. We're almost too nerdy right now.
Maybe.
We're almost too nerdy. I'm moving on.
Okay.
Here is my biggest issue that is not a plot hole. It's just an issue. Why don't you go get more Pym particles?
This one, I see in a way because they do it eventually. So why don't they do it from the beginning? Unless
Right. And Tony Stark is the smartest man in the world, clearly. And like, he hasn't thought to go get more fucking Pym particles so that the finite nature of their journey is completely irrelevant. Like, they could have made that whole part of the plot irrelevant. And I get that they need to do that to make the stakes higher. And I understand that. But my issue is, when you need to make the stakes higher, it needs to be real, right? That's just lazy storytelling. Like, they're not making the stakes higher. They're just not being smart. That's not the same. Like, my best example is like in saying like Interstellar, or even better, Inception. In Inception, they make it very clear what happens when you die in this dream, what kind of time restraint they have, why the situation is dire, right? And they make it clear from Jump Street, and there's no movement on that. That's what makes it a legitimately suspenseful film. But for me, with Endgame, when you could just go do something, if you just had a fucking 5-minute conversation before you went and risked everyone's lives for no reason, you could have a 5-minute conversation and solve that problem. In a real suspenseful film, there is no other solution. In this movie, they get the solution halfway through it. They're like, let's just go get more Pym particles. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Why didn't you just go do that the whole fucking time?
I think the only thing is that with the situation of them planning out to where to find the stones, the whole New York thing was like, oh, we can kill 3 stones 1 trip.
Yeah, but why risk it?
I think the only thing was that the circumstance created Tony to think of it, because even in the moment, he's like, I don't even know this is right.
Sean,
I don't know if this is right. That's the whole thing. He's like, because Captain America's like, are you sure? Are you sure this is right? And he goes, do you trust me? Let's do it.
Sean, they figured that out in 1 minute in an alley. He just solved time travel. You're telling me that person who just solved time travel builds a fucking time machine and never thinks, knowing the restrictions of the fucking thing, of the time travel, he never thinks to just go get more Pym particles? They could have gone anywhere in history. Do you understand that, like, at one juncture, Frank Pym was not only mass creating these things, but he was also like the Ant-Man movies, like, dude, they knew exactly where Pym particles would be because they had Scott Lang. They could have just gone into the Ant-Man movies and gotten fucking Pym particles. They had plenty to spare.
That
It's just
is a good point.
thank
I
you.
guess it was
It's
more just moving the plot forward. I would
great.
think
That's great. But I don't have to let them get away with lazy storytelling just because it's Marvel. Like, I hold them to the same standard that I hold any film to.
Yeah,
And so for me, that's lazy storytelling.
yeah. I mean, I just don't see it as lazy, but
Of course you don't, because you love them.
I do
Because
love
you
them.
can't see their faults because they're like your child.
No, I can see their faults.
It's like when a parent loves a bratty kid, you know?
Oh
That's
my.
what it's like.
It's not like that. I can see things I don't like in movies, even if
Not
they're
these
Marvel.
ones.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
There's a part in the ending of Black Panther is a CGI clusterfuck of a fight. I like that movie, but I agree to you where it is overrated in a bit. I do love Killmonger because I feel like Killmonger led to Thanos, but
God, he's so bad. How the fuck did Killmonger lead to Thanos?
Because at the end of the day, he was right. The way he was trying to implement, because he was saying that Wakanda should use the resources to help people. His helping people was giving them weapons for some reason, which was stupid, but he was also a psychopath. So, and bent on revenge for avenging his father, who got killed by T'Challa's father.
Right.
But the way he was doing it was wrong, but his idea was right. And that's what ended up being like, hey, Wakanda is the thing. We're super technologically evolved and we're going to help everyone now. So it was leading, because in a way, Thanos wasn't totally wrong,
Right.
But
the Marvel way, right? It's like the bad guy is always like insane, but also like kind of relatable, which is the best way to make a bad guy, which is like basically you could just call that the Magneto.
Yes. Well,
every time
he teeters.
Every time he was bad in the comics, you're kind of like, he's got a kind of a point there. He's got kind of a point.
A little bit. He had a point, but he was a psychopath. Yeah.
Fair. I guess I understand what you mean with the Black Panther thing leading to Thanos. But with that being said, I think that you love them too much. Anyway.
I might. That's probably fair to say.
Now we're going to get into legitimate fucking plot holes that are issues with this film. First and foremost, I'm going to say it because I'm going to do it chronologically, but this goes through the entire film. So this is the biggest. I honestly believe that this is the second biggest one. Third biggest one. How the fuck is Ant-Man doing anything? How is he doing anything? How is he growing? How is he shrinking? How is he doing all the things that he does when they don't have any fucking Pym particles?
This one I completely agree with, because even when they're testing the quantum tunnel, he accidentally shrinks and he goes, "Oh, we only have one left to test run." So this one I agree with. I completely overlooked it because more of it was just like, "Oh yeah, he's Ant-Man. He shrinks and gets big."
Right.
Whatever.
But like, they have set the precedent that it takes a full Pym particle to do anything. So in turn, they did not go over him rationing his Pym particles so that he could fight a fucking epic battle at the end. That none of that is covered. And honestly, we all know it didn't happen. So he gives his Pym particles over so that they can do the time heist, which completely not a plot hole, but I think that whole storyline is whack. And so they go do the time heist or whatever. And like you said, he exhibits that one shrink is one Pym particle. Then they just fucking forget that whole thing. He shrinks, he grows, he's small in the office, he's big, he's battling, he's doing all sorts of shit. No Pym particles required. That is a fucking plot hole like you read about. Like
that one I will agree with. And he even does it during the time heist too. Because he has to shrink.
That's what I'm saying. He grows and he shrinks and gets thrown onto Loki and into the fucking thing, whatever. That is all fucked. That is a complete fucking plot hole. They just were like, all right, we got Pym particles. They have a finite number of Pym particles. Fuck that. And then they just let him do whatever the fuck he's going to do.
That one I'll give you. I cannot argue that one.
Plot hole city. Next one. All right, now we're going through chronologically. Okay. The opening rescue. At the end of Captain Marvel, she shows up. She's looking for Fury, whatever. They say that they're tracking stuff. And so I get that it implies that they could probably find the Guardian ship. I can give that one up.
Yeah,
I don't need to see that.
Because they find Thanos' planet, so why couldn't they
right? Why wouldn't
Rocket's
they be able
ship?
to find Rocket, who built the fucking thing, or Quill built it, but he is part of building it. So
yeah,
I have no problem with that section and her finding them. Here's my issue. He says in the opening monologue that they're running out of air in less than a day, and that they have no food. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are on Titan,
or floating away from Titan, whatever.
Floating away from Titan. This world is semi-grounded in what we know about science right now, as humans, as us, right? So here we go. The closest inhabitable planet to us is 100 light years away. 100 light years. So if you're going light speed, it takes 100 years to get there. We can agree on that. Titan would have to be further. Let's just say that Titan is the next closest fucking planet, right? So let's say it's 100 light years away, okay? Captain Marvel flies out there. However long that takes, debatable, right? Like, can she fly light speed? Probably. Let's just go with yes. She turns around, she grabs their ship, and then she flies them back to Earth. How are they not dead? They have no air. They have no food. It has to have taken longer than a day. Say she's flying at 100 light years per hour. Who the fuck knows? It took an hour. You can't not breathe for an hour.
Well, here's the thing. When he records, because he passes out right after he records the message, right? So
right.
He still at least it was implying that he was dying, so he probably
let's say he has a day. Let's say he has a day. She flies that ship from 100 light years away in less than 24 hours. I don't buy that. They're dead.
Here's the thing. At the end of Captain Marvel, you see her leave with the Skrulls. And they're obviously flying they do like the hyper jump or whatever they call it in the Marvel universe.
All right. Yeah, that's sick. So we're going there, right?
Yeah.
We're going to say that she uses the Skrull ship to go there.
No. She flies alongside of it, saying that she can hyper jump herself. At the end of Captain Marvel.
Is that so?
Yeah, they hyper jump into space wherever the fuck they're going. And the way they explain hyper jumping, it seems like instantaneous. Because exactly how they fly to the garden. They jump from the atmosphere of Earth, and then boom, it's a second, they're at the garden. They're right there. It takes 5 seconds or whatever. So the time thing could be easy.
They have to go through those little holes.
Yeah, but they just, you know what I mean? Okay. In the beginning of the movie, it's like boom, they're there. So and who knows where that is? I don't know. Thanos can travel. It's got
to be at least 100 light years away.
Yeah, Thanos can travel through space, so he can go wherever the fuck he wants instantly. Open a portal, boom, he's there. So, if Captain Marvel can hyperspeed herself, which it seems like she can because she travels right next to a ship. She's not in the ship; she's next to the ship, and they both go into wherever in space. So, if she can do that and she knows exactly where it is, in theory, she could go, boom, I'm right there. Here, I'm saving you. Bring you right back.
Okay.
And that's explained in a movie beforehand that she can do that. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't want to get into the exacts of if the ship was capable of taking on that journey because
it should be able to.
It's still a Marvel movie. Well, it's still a Marvel movie, so you have to, whatever. I'm not.
But
you got to suspend disbelief at some point.
That ship is meant to, because it does it. That's the ship they take to go to the garden. So it should be able to do it. Well, and they use it through the whole time. I think
it does. It does because they do it in in Guardians too. They
exactly. Yeah. They do the same thing. So it should be able to handle her doing it. Regardless.
Okay, so we're gonna say that she can time jump. She can hyper jump, and she goes and grabs the ship and hyper jumps back and then carries it down.
So that should literally take minutes, if anything.
All right. I'm willing to allow that. I'm willing to allow it.
Good.
I'm willing to allow that.
I'll take that victory.
You should. Okay. Now we're getting real here. Okay. So Nebula, this one's an issue. This one really bums me out. So Nebula jumps to the future. They go to fucking Morag to grab that ball. She gets caught on Wi-Fi or whatever. And she gets found, blah, 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 blah. All that shit happens, whatever. They send old Nebula back, whatever.
Yeah, evil Nebula.
And evil Nebula, blah, blah, blah. That's great. She uses Pym particles to get back. How the fuck does that ship, Thanos' ship, come through the fucking time portal? How does that make any sense at all? If she uses her Pym particles to get back with the team, how the fuck does that ship get there? Further, if we're implying that by her sticking her little octopus tentacles into the thing, that she can utilize this machine, okay?
Yep.
So let's say that she can manipulate the machine to grab Thanos' ship and pull it through time without Pym particles. Why the fuck didn't they just grab the stones through time and pull them through time? If you can just pull a fucking ship through time, why wouldn't you just be able to pull the fucking stones through time? None of that makes sense.
Here's the thing. The thing with the ship is a little bit, it's almost way too against, it's like way too we're not holding your hand thing, so we're going to show you one little thing and it explains it. Because
you're going to write this movie for them is what you're going to do. I know what you're going to say.
This one might be a little bit.
Because you're going to write this movie for
Nebula hands the Pym particles to Thanos and Ebony Maw, so it almost entails, they did something with it. Maybe they recreated it. Maybe they didn't. Who knows? That one. It's a little
requires a little bit of writing. Wouldn't you say? Don't you think that maybe they should have written that one in?
It's also a lot of movie and to like sit there and be like, we recreated Pym particles. Like, is it really that needed? To me, it isn't. To you, apparently, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is because if they recreated Pym particles, I'd like to fucking know it because apparently Pym is the only person that can do it in the entire fucking known universe. But we're just implying that Thanos does it over a fucking afternoon, and then
he could. And he does everything else. It's insane.
Could he?
He built a crazy alien army. 2 alien armies, actually.
Right. He didn't build shit. So he just collected those no-face fuckers. And he had an entire lifetime to do it. He didn't do it in an afternoon. And furthermore, it's like, this is what I'm talking about with Marvel fans. It's like, all she has to do is hand him a fucking Pym particle, and now it's implied that he has manufactured Pym particles. And now he has also somehow utilized, if he made Pym particles, he would also have to invent a mechanism with which to use them. Right?
Yeah, unless the Nebula thing is him.
So we're just letting him do that too, huh? We're just going to let him do that. We're just going to...
That one's tough. It's tough. That one's
pretty smart. He's pretty smart. He probably solved time travel, which has never been solved in the history of the MCU or in the universe, except for when Tony Stark just did it after fucking dinner one day, right? That part... I'm even leaving that alone, that he solved time travel in 25 minutes after Din-Din's. Like,
I think that's also a time thing because him saying shit is more of like he wasn't just working on it for 5 minutes and he solved it.
That's fine.
And
that's
he even goes
comic book timing.
He goes, "Hey, last one for the night." Pretty much like I'm going to give up. It's going to fail.
Okay, yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, you're right. It took him 40 times. It took him 40 tries to fucking solve time travel. That must have been really tough for him to get through. Yeah, listen, I can let that slide because comic books, right?
Comic books do crazier things.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like, all right, I can let that slide that he solved time travel in 20 minutes, but to imply that Thanos can just create a mechanism with which to use Pym particles when no one in the history of time has ever solved time travel except for Tony Stark is completely unrealistic. He didn't make a mechanism to use those spin particles. He also probably didn't recreate them. And if he did, I'd like to fucking see it because that's a pretty important plot point. So, like, I'm not going to write this movie for Kevin Feige. Like, I expect him to do the things that normal movies are expected to do. Like, in any other film, we would be crucifying them for that shit. If that was a DC flick, you and I would be agreeing that that was a total nightmare.
Maybe. But if they made a movie of the same quality as Endgame, I don't think I would. I don't think I would look at it in the same microscope as I do the other ones. And
so we're giving them fan service. We're letting them get away with it because they gave us a fucking Infinity War,
but
even though we gave them $80 billion.
The pulling through the stones through the machine or through the quantum tunnel doesn't make sense because the ship, regardless of how it got through the tunnel, whatever. That one's a little, obviously, I can't write
precarious.
That.
That's pretty fucking precarious.
I can't explain that one. I can't do that one. But they knew they were, like, the ship is aware that it's going to time travel, regardless of how it happened. But
what? So what, you got to give them a heads up? Time travel is
No. What I'm saying is
relying upon attention.
The ship is it knows what's going on. It knows that the main goal is to go in time. The stones aren't like a being that's like, hey, we need to time travel right now. You know what I mean? And they don't know. They don't know exactly where the stones are. They know in the vicinity.
Sean.
Yes.
I love you, and I mean this with the utmost respect, but I think you're talking out of your fucking ass right now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm explaining why they can't just grab the stones because every time they went to go do the stones, they had to go find the stones where they are. They didn't know that because Hulk thought Doctor Strange was a thing then, and he wasn't. He had to go have that chat with the ancient one.
They 110% know where the stones are. They 110% know exactly where the stones are.
Not exactly.
They know. Yes, they do. They know that the Tesseract, Sean, the Tesseract was on the top of Stark Tower for an entire day. They were all there. They could have just fucking grabbed it.
What about the time stone? They didn't know where the time stone exactly was. They knew it was in New York.
Of them. That's one of them.
And then Vormir, they didn't know they had to go throw into each other off the cliff when they got there.
That's fair. So there's two. So then the rest of them,
and then
they
also
where
Power
they
Stone, they knew where it was, but they had to wait for Quill to come to go find it because they didn't know exactly where Quill got it. They knew the planet, but they had to wait for him to knock him out to go get it.
But then they would have had the entire history of Guardians of the Galaxy where they knew exactly where the fuck it was, which was it was located on a Blue Homeboy's staff. Like, Sean.
No, the Power Stone. Guardians.
Yeah, no, I know. The Blue Homeboy staff. It was on his staff for the entirety of Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Not the entirety, just the ending.
When he pops it on his fucking staff after he, doesn't like Thanos. It doesn't fucking matter.
What's easier, go finding it on a planet or go stealing it from Ronan?
Dude, if you can pull things through time, you're not stealing it from anyone. You're literally just grabbing it and taking it. And your argument that you need to be conscientious of your time travel is completely erroneous. That is horseshit. You don't have to know that you're time traveling to time travel because that would imply that any of the random inanimate objects that your argument would mean that any inanimate object would not be able to come through time, which is obviously not true because they bring all the fucking stones through time.
That's not.
You don't need to know that you're time traveling.
No, more of what I meant.
That is a complete horseshit argument.
More of what I meant is they know exactly where the ship is. Like he can.
Sean,
Nebula has communication with Thanos, being like, "Hey, what are your coordinates? I can pull from your coordinates." They don't have the coordinates of the stones. They need to go find where they don't though.
All they need.
They only know where two exactly are, and they know they're in a building. They don't.
So
know
why
exactly
don't they go grab those? So they could just go grab those two. This whole movie could be fucking 30 minutes shorter. They could just grab two of them. Listen, I'm not arguing that they can grab all of them because I agree with you that the time stone had a fucking whatever that Doctor Strange had put a very simple spell on it or whatever.
Doctor Strange wasn't even a thing then.
Right. Cool. So whatever. So all that good shit. But I'm telling you right now that if you have control of time, all you need to know is 1 second of where something is. And then you can go grab it. if you're using the transitive property of the fact that Nebula dragged an entire fucking ship through time without really trying that hard, and like made it kind of tiny, and then it grew, and blah blah blah. So listen, that whole section of the film is flawed. For you to try and write this movie for them and say that you need to know where it is. You know where the Tesseract is. It is on the top of Stark Tower. Even if it is one, even if it's easier to just grab one and pull it through time, don't you think they do that? But they don't, because that is a plot hole. Because they can't do that until they need to do it, until they need to pull motherfuckers through time. That's the problem. They're never, ever, ever are they like, well, why don't we just roll through time and grab this fucker? We don't even have to go. We can just do it. Nebula has her hand that just shoves into this machine that we literally just invented. And, you know, she can just pull shit through time. Easy squeezy, right? But no, they never do that because that's not an option until it needs to be an option, which by definition is a plot hole.
All right, let's go to a different topic because we're not going to agree on this one, obviously.
All right, fair. All right, here we go. So, the Incredible Hulk, with a great quote that wraps up time travel beautifully. He says, "You cannot alter the past with your present self, because when you go to the past to alter it, it becomes your present, and you can't alter your present with your past, or some fucking combination of that.
It becomes your new future, I think is what
right.
it says.
All that's great. That explanation of time travel is awesome. And
I
really
one of the best explanations of time travel in a movie, I think.
I totally agree. So, and I liked the way they delivered it. I thought that it was funny that they utilized, Back to the Future being bullshit. I thought that was good. And I was like, yo, respect. So, yeah, I'm trying to find the quote right now. And of course, there's like 90,000 fucking, this giant article about time travel. Anyway, so basically the point of what he says is your past becomes your future, right? So if you go back in time to alter your past, then your past has become your new future.
Right.
So that makes sense. So I liked that time. I liked that explanation of time travel. And I was kind of like, dope. Like, yeah, let's go. You just explained time travel very clearly, and then let's stick with it, right? Let's fucking stick with it.
Yeah.
Then they expound upon that with the Ancient One, where she says that if you remove something from the past, it creates a divergence, right? Which is, it's kind of how quantum mechanics works generally. Like, basically, we're functioning in a dimension where every single possible choice has been made at every single moment, and in turn, divergent time
creates
dimensions
a separate
basically
reality.
Right. So there's a separate reality where like you and I are doing this exact same thing, but we're wearing cowboy hats. Like choices have been made differently, and it's led
Rick
to this
and Morty
point.
Logic right there.
Right, but that's true. That's literally how it is. So she expounds upon Hulk's explanation of time by saying that if you remove an item from the past, then you alter it. And she especially goes about saying the time,
Infinity
like
Stones.
the Infinity Stones. And she says that if you remove an Infinity Stone from the past, it like really fucks things up because they're there to protect us. So I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm down with it. Okay. So here we go. Couple issues with this time travel shit. There's a lot of like picky ones, but there's two that really bother me.
Okay.
Loki, in the scene at Stark Tower, steals is it the Power Stone? No, it's Space Stone, right?
Space Stone, yeah.
It's a Space Stone. He steals Space Stone. They just gloss over that. And I guess this isn't really a plot hole, but it's just an issue with the film. That they just went into painful detail about how fucked we'll be if they remove a stone from the timeline. And then they let Loki fuck off with one of the stones
Yep.
and never at all mentioned it ever again. That timeline is now completely fucked.
Oh, it's
and
fucked.
there's nothing Captain America can do about it. Like, no matter how much he goes back and returns shit, he can't return.
That
He
one.
has all the stones, right? He can't return that one.
No, he has to go back to the 40s or whatever and return it then.
Right, and return it to the fucking place in
So
Jersey.
I do think that's what the whole Loki series is going to be about. And there's another thing that supports that is that little snippet they showed, that Super Bowl commercial. He's wearing a jumpsuit, and it says TVA, which is Time Variance Authority, which they're like time cops, pretty much.
Right.
So I'm guessing the whole series is going to be about probably him making it, because Loki always makes deals to help himself out. That's Loki. Him making a deal with them, being like, "Hey, I'll help you solve time problems to repent for my time,
crimes.
Yeah,
my time crimes.
Yeah, my time crimes. I like that. He's like, yeah, I fucked up this reality, so let's try and fix it, I guess. But we'll see how it goes. I think the whole everything like this, like that happening, and then Cap going and creating an alternate timeline too. It's all setting up for the multiverse thing. Obviously, the Doctor Strange movie has multiverse in it, and they mention it in Spider-Man. So I think this is, in turn, everything they fucked up in Endgame, which I don't think they glossed over. It was more of the, we don't give a fuck what goes wrong. We just need to get these fucking stones no matter what. If we fuck some shit up, I guess we'll deal with it later,
Yeah, I'm willing to live with that. Like, I'm willing to live with the fact that they're probably going to tell that story later. So that's one thing. That was just an issue I had, that I was just kind of like, it's also like there's some issues with like Thor, but you've pointed out to me in the past that Thor's hammer gets stolen from the Dark World, and then but Cap returns it because he has it when he goes through time. So he probably returns it as to not alter that whole situation.
He has it with like the briefcase of stones.
Right. Super cool. All that's great. Here it is, baby. This is the big boy.
Oh, gosh.
The fucking ending, which is beautiful and tugged at my heartstrings, really. It makes no fucking sense.
What doesn't make sense?
It makes no sense. How the fuck is Captain America
this part
looking like the fucking guy from Saving Private Ryan? How the fuck is he at the lake? He can't be at the lake. Because he goes back in time, does his thing, returns all the stones, and then he alters time by being in it.
Yes.
So he makes an alternate timeline.
Correct.
How the fuck is he at the lake back in their timeline? How?
Again, it's hard because it is kind of quote unquote writing the movie for them. But it also goes to everything that's been set up in the MCU. In the 40s, Hank Pym is there. Howard Stark is there. Maybe it's a different version of them and there's someone else, but there's smart fucking people in the 40s, obviously. Captain America now knows, hey, time travel is possible. Obviously, back then, they're not fucking thinking of time travel. Why the fuck would they think of time travel? They have no use. Howard Stark's inventing fucking floating cars and shit, like dumb stuff that makes no sense. But if Captain America goes then 80 years ago, or 80 years ago, because they're in like 2025 now, and goes, hey, there's time travel. I fucked up time. I created an alternate universe. There's probably tons of alternate universes now. Let's explore that. And like, hey, Hank Pym, we figured it out through the quantum realm. Hey, Howard, there's time travel through the quantum realm. Team up and figure this shit out. You don't think they're going to figure it out in 80 years?
No.
Why not?
Because they didn't. Because they haven't.
But Sean, what I'm saying is they have the info now.
Time travel, Sean, if they figured out time travel, you'd know it.
But this is an alternate timeline.
Nature of time travel. No. If they figured out how to surf the quantum realm in that 80 years, you would fucking know it. because they would have shown up, but they never did, because that's the nature of time travel. If you can affect time, then you can show up anywhere you want. And if they've never appeared, then no, they didn't figure it out. Further, to imply that no one, like, I don't know, Einstein was never exploring time travel is ridiculous. They have been exploring time travel for the entirety of history. Any asshole can think, oh, it'd be really nice to go back to yesterday when I had that sandwich and eat that sandwich again. But no, they can't do it because they're not that smart.
But here's the advantage.
The only person who's ever figured it out, Sean, is Tony fucking Stark in 2025. So no, I don't think that they would have figured it out because they haven't. They didn't.
Here's the
So
advantage.
No, they didn't.
Here's the advantage they have, though. Tony Stark didn't think about, well, I'm sure he thought about time travel, but he didn't figure it out until Scott Lang was like, hey, we can use the quantum realm. I was stuck in the quantum realm for 5 years, but for me, it was 5 minutes or 5 hours or whatever it was, a super different period of time. It was not 5 years for him. It was like nothing. So him putting that in his head goes, oh, wow, maybe I can use the quantum realm to make this happen. The same thing if Captain America went back in time, knows that the quantum realm is the vessel of the time travel. Like, yo, we can use the quantum realm as time travel. Fucking figure it out. And like,
yeah,
that's my only argument. Also, I don't think they would show up because Captain America would then warn them, hey, I created an alternate timeline already. Maybe don't go, because them talking to someone, obviously, it might, like, because like Tony Stark talking to his dad might have created an alternate timeline. It's kind of hard to say if it did or didn't. It might not have. It might have actually happened. Who knows? They haven't really gotten that deep to what actually affects and creates an alternate timeline.
Right.
But he can go, hey, be careful. We probably don't want to go and tell people these things because it's going to change the outcome of what's actually going to happen. Same thing when Doctor Strange goes, when Tony Stark is like, is this the one time we win? And he goes, I can't tell you. He does hold up the one at the end, but Tony Stark already knows he's going to fucking sacrifice himself to win. So that's my argument to it, is that they wouldn't show up. Maybe they did in little circumstances like Tony talking to his dad, but they probably didn't want to step and fuck things up more than shit is already fucked up from this movie, which I think is going to be all of Phase 4, is how everything is completely fucked time-wise.
Right. That is a really interesting take. Does Marvel pay you for that?
I wish they
I'm just
paid me.
confused. Well, I'm just confused.
They should bring me in a consultant.
You're essentially acting as their fucking writer, writing movies that have never been made and writing out plot holes in a film that does exist. It's really impressive. It's like, maybe they should be like paying your rent or like doing something nice for you, because you're essentially walking their shitty storytelling down the fucking line 10 miles, being like, maybe they did invent time travel, but they feel so guilty. You're like giving them fucking character traits and shit. It's crazy.
It's not character traits. Crazy. It's what they would do. That's what Captain America would do.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it really? Sean, it's beautiful the way that you love this film so much that you are walking them all the way down the line. I don't accept closing plot holes after the fact. That doesn't fucking count. Like, you can't close a plot hole after it's done. That's not how it works. Like, we don't just accept people making new movies and being like, oh yeah, remember that thing that we fucked up? Sorry, this is the explanation for it. No, that's not how films work. If you can't close it down from beginning to end, your movie is bad. The movie is bad.
But this
and
is
I'm not going to allow
I've even
them.
explained.
Sean,
give
me 1 minute. You give me 1 minute.
All right.
I'm not going to allow them. Listen, I'm not going to allow them to mistreat me like that. I'm not going to allow them to act like I'm stupid. All right? I'm not going to let them get away with it. I like Rotten Tomatoes. I review movies in my spare time. I'm not some fucking jabroni. I don't appreciate it when a movie has a giant fucking plot hole and then some dickhead does an interview 6 months after the fact and is like, well, actually, Captain America created a time portal with his shield. Like, no, fuck you. You didn't do that. You didn't do it in the movie. I'm not allowing you to now tell me that it happened 2 years down the road. That's not how movies work.
Well,
Okay,
this is
no,
the difference, though. I explained the Captain Marvel thing because of what happened in a different movie. The MCU has a little bit of an advantage with that, with they can indeed fix things or explain things through other movies, because that's part of the beauty in Endgame, is that a lot of the stuff came full circle from other movies, like the Avengers
yeah,
Assemble line and stuff.
I
Like,
totally agree.
you know what I mean? It's the same principle, just in a
Yeah,
different way.
but just like bad.
Oh
Like,
my god.
got it. Totally. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's just like garbage and makes no sense. So yeah, totally.
Oh.
I totally agree. I totally agree. No, it makes perfect sense that it's bad. It makes no
Oh.
sense. But in a couple movies from now, they're gonna explain that plot hole. Like Rebel One was a really good movie. I really liked Rebel One. It
Rogue
was a
One.
great film. Rogue One, excuse me. Rogue One. Yeah, thank you. That was the only one you've had to do so far.
Yeah.
Rogue One, great movie, right? I really liked it. But it doesn't change the fact that A New Hope had a giant fucking plot hole in it, the shape of a giant weird hole in the Death Star that you can shoot a weapon into and destroy it. They closed that plot hole with a movie 40 years later.
Later.
That doesn't make that plot hole okay.
To me, it does in a way,
Of course it
but
does, because you are probably already wrote that plot hole out with your heart.
I
You
did
probably used
not.
your heart
No,
and you fucking made it make sense to
A New
yourself.
Hope. A New Hope is probably one of my least favorite Star Wars movies. Hot
Oh,
take.
it's
I
it's
don't like
not.
the ending. The ending is not good.
It's very open ended. I mean, it's because they didn't know if they
Yeah,
were
they
going to make
didn't
any
know it
more.
was. It was. Yeah, they thought it was going to be one and done.
Right.
Also, can we explain that the fact that they were building the Death Star at the end of Episode 3, and it took them 30 years or whatever to? I don't think it's however long it is from Episode 3 to Episode 4. It took them that long to build the Death Star. Like they're at the end. One of the end scenes of Episode 3 is them the Death Star in construction, and then from Episode 4 to 5, boom, Death Star.
Death Star, yeah, yeah, baby.
In
Well,
no
we did it
time.
once. Yeah. Well, good thing we built that extra Death Star.
That's
Yeah,
what. That's
exactly.
one of my. I mean, there's problems in every Star Wars movie. That's another conversation that we don't need to get into that. But
Oh God, there's plenty of
but
problems. That's for sure.
there's problems in all Star Wars movies, not just the new ones. You know,
Yeah, no, I agree. I
not
mean,
like everyone else does. But
let's just go
let's
ahead and
not
let's just go
listen.
ahead and say one other thing. It took 30 years to build the Death Star, but it took only 30 years for everyone to start calling the Jedi Order ancient.
Well,
Like
it's weird
your
because
ancient religion, your forgotten ancient religion. It's like it was 30 years ago. It was running the council. Like, what are you talking about? It was
yeah,
literally like you
I
were 20.
I just know that it wasn't as strong as it was like hundreds of years beforehand. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, but the Jedi
it still
Council
was a
existed.
thing. Yeah, it still was a thing.
And they talk about it in A New Hope, like Darth Vader is the only person for the last 1,000 years to fuck with it.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so
Anyway, we're getting off topic right now.
that's fine. It's all nerd shit.
So all in all,
Okay.
that's why Endgame is garbage.
Okay, so what do you like about Endgame? Because I know you like the
Uh,
time travel.
I
Obviously,
don't fucking like the time travel.
no, you like how it's explained.
I did like that, yeah.
So
Um,
you had to have so you had to have liked the end battle scene. That's the most insane battle scene in a movie ever. Like
yeah. So let me
argue that.
let me get there. I
Also,
liked
2014 Thanos is the most savage villain ever.
he is, but also he's like I felt like he was kind of a side note in that film, which was kind of a bummer because I think that he was so great in Infinity War. But to be fair, Infinity War is just about him.
Yeah, and it's not the same Thanos because they made a different Thanos by
Right.
killing Thanos in the beginning and bringing crazy murder Thanos into the present.
Right. So, I definitely I didn't like Fat Thor. I thought that was a joke, and I didn't love that. I liked
shit.
all right.
Sorry. Keep going. Someone was calling me.
That's right. I liked the turmoil that Thor was going through, but I didn't like him being like comic relief. I didn't love that part of it.
The only thing is there's a really cool underlying tone with Thor because everyone's like, oh, they're making fun of fat people, and it's like, no, if you really paid attention, the whole part in when they go back to Thor: The Dark World, when he calls on Mjolnir and he goes, "I'm still worthy." It's like, hey, it's saying, yeah, you can be depressed and overweight and let yourself go, and you can still be worthy. It's like a nice little note being like,
yeah,
hey,
it's like
it's okay to be whoever you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter the dumb shit you're going through. It was added. It was added for a bunch of comic relief, but I do like that they added that serious note to it.
I bet in the next Thor, he's going to be cut like a fucking julienne salad, though. I'll tell you that. So they're not really supporting fat people all that much, are they?
I really hope they do a quick montage with him and Star-Lord working out in a Bowflex. Because he's like, I'm going to commit. He goes, you're one sandwich away from fat.
Yeah.
And he goes,
yes.
He's like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to get a Bowflex.
Yeah. Great line. I do, God, if they make, we're getting off topic, but
if they do that, that'd be awesome.
If they make like a love triangle between Thor and Gamora and Star-Lord, I'm going to be very annoyed.
I hope they don't do that. Well, I don't think so. Because Jane Foster's supposed to be in Thor 4, so I feel like that might rekindle that. That's a good point. I would also hate that if they did that.
Yeah. So, all right. The things I liked about I did like the final battle is incredible. If you don't tear up when you see that after 11 years of Marvel, you're dead inside. Like it was incredible. Like the portals opening and everyone coming together. Yeah, dude. And like, who cares that the Ravagers arguably probably shouldn't be there? And like, there's really no reason for them to be there. I don't know who contacted them.
It seemed like it was all Wong and Doctor Strange. He used his fucking crazy magic and was like, get everyone. Because he even makes that. He goes, I think it was a nod to the Netflix world without acknowledging the Netflix world. It couldn't not be. It could just be me being a total fucking nerd, being like, did you get everyone?
No, I like it. Yeah,
and then Wong goes, who else is there? You know?
Yeah. No, I like that too. Kevin Feige does absolutely despise those Netflix shows, except for Punisher, which I love.
I love Daredevil. I thought Daredevil was unreal.
It was all right. It kind of lost me with Elektra. I didn't really give a shit about Elektra. I never give a shit about Elektra. She's a terrible character all the time, always.
You don't like that really good Elektra movie from the early 2000s?
Oh, dude, I love that really good Elektra movie. It couples really well with that really good Daredevil movie.
The best.
Ben Affleck's dead soul created. Arguably the saddest man in the world. Anyway, and for good reason. Fuck Ben Affleck. He sucks.
I like Ben Affleck, but
he's Harvey Weinstein's disgusting assistant. How about that? All right, so I liked the battle. Obviously, it was incredible. That whole sequence was wonderful, and like the little parts, I loved the girl power thing. I thought it was sick.
I thought you said you didn't like it earlier.
No. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just thought that it was pointless in the way that Captain Marvel doesn't need help getting across the battlefield.
Oh yeah, that's why I was saying too that in the end she really didn't need that.
Right. but I did really like it. I actually thought it was cool. And honestly, I really hope that they go a little harder into they lean a little harder. I mean, obviously with Thor, Love and Thunder, they're going harder into Jane becoming Thor. And, I thought that all that shit was cool. And then I think that, what is the young lady's name from Black Panther?
Shuri?
Yeah, Shuri. I think Shuri should take the mantle of Iron Man.
Oh, be Ironheart?
Yeah.
How they do it or whatever? That would be cool.
She's more intelligent. They've implied that she's more
intelligent than him. Yeah, because they make that joke and they're like, "Why didn't you do it this way?" Whatever.
Yeah, she says, "You tried your best."
Way too smart words for me to understand.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure you tried your best. That's so funny.
You tried your best. I really like her character, and I hope that she's great. I hope she's in more of the universe extended. So the battle was great.
In the comics, she takes over the Black Panther mantle at some point. So it'd be cool if they do that eventually. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or if they don't have him take it over, if she just becomes one anyway. You know what I mean? Like they have a squad of Black Panthers.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna use Tony Stark's daughter more for Ironheart though.
I just hope they don't do Ironheart because no one likes Ironheart. That the comic series has not done well.
And yeah, but nobody likes fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just don't want.
Have you ever read a Guardians comic before the movies?
No, I haven't even read one now.
Yeah, exactly.
Only when they're in other shit, really.
Yeah, no, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
That's fair. I just don't want them to bring Tony back because he's
Fuck
supposed to be
you.
the AI. That he's supposed to be like Friday and
Oh, that'd be
Jarvis.
weird. I wouldn't love
And
that.
that as long as they don't do that, because I'd be stoked seeing like more of like the video projections of him like thrown out
Yeah.
as like a oh hey we're gonna make you cry in this fucking movie
So
kind of
so
thing.
stoked. So stoked they killed Vision. Cannot stand Vision.
Well, he's coming back sort of
Oh yeah, I know.
in
In a show I will probably watch because I can't help myself.
that show. I feel like
Um,
that show's gonna surprise everyone, and it's gonna be the craziest fucking thing ever.
maybe. Okay, so more stuff about the movie that I liked. The completion of the main three Avengers. Well, not even that. Even the four Avengers storyline. Like, I think that Black Widow, her story arc came to a perfect end.
Yeah,
I think that Thor's story arc kind of completed and now is going to like be expounded upon in Thor. I think that his is like a story of like loss. Like when you really look at it, he loses everything all the time.
everything. His
And I think
dad,
that
his
that's
mom, his best
his
friends.
civilization. Yeah, his
They
best
kept
friends who I'm so psyched were dead because
yeah
they were horrible.
they definitely like that was the one part of Thor Ragnarok where I love Thor Ragnarok, but they did insanely gloss over that his three best
Oh
friends
no, that's
got
the best
massacred.
part. No, that's the best part. Kiki Watiti was like, "Who are these people? They're awful. I'm
They're
killing them."
dead.
It was the best part. Yeah, it was, and that's exactly how he handled that. I guarantee it. Just from watching Jojo Rabbit, which is the wildest movie I think I've seen in the last 10 fucking years.
I still need to watch that.
Um,
There's so many movies from last year I need to watch still.
you need to watch Jojo Rabbit. It was unreal.
I've only heard
It
great things
it
about it.
it is unbelievable. Him as Hitler is wild. Trying to do a German accent while still just having a complete South African accent is wild. All right. And then the completion of obviously the biggest ones were the completion of Cap's storyline and the completion of Iron Man's storyline.
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
Completely
It was
completely switching, you know.
yeah, in
Tony
this like
saying, yeah, you're nothing, everything supposed to came out of a bottle, and Cap's saying to Tony, you'll never make the sacrifice play. And then obviously they both do this same exact thing. Like fucking Cap wields Mjolnir, which I'm almost certain that he could have in Age of Ultron when he nudges it. He was just
no,
like,
he didn't nudges.
I'm not going to hurt Thor's pride because obviously his pride was
teared up.
very fragile. So I think he like moved it and he's like, oh, I can lift it. I'm going to let it go.
I teared up. I teared up when he took Mjolnir. I legitimately teared up when he because that mean and you're right. Like that is such a perfect exemplary situation where like everything special about him doesn't come out of a bottle.
Yep, it's him. He is the special part. That's why they picked him to be Captain America.
So they've completed that. They've called back that line, and then you're right. Like they've called back Cap's line to Tony, where like he would never throw himself on the wire, like
Yeah,
which
he would
he
cut the
obviously
wire.
does.
Yeah,
Right. And like it's perfect. And I thought that Iron Man's death was like I didn't. This is a real nitpicky thing, but it didn't ruin anything for me. I didn't love his death scene.
really?
Yeah, I
That
felt
kills
like
me every time I watch it. Every time I watch
I
it, I'm like,
agree. But listen, I think that he should have. I really wish that he had gained enough consciousness to say something to Pepper.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I wish
That
he had
is
said
very.
even just because he's Tony fucking Stark. For him to die with no words, I think is a disservice to his character
He
personally.
also
But
he also
I'm fine
did
with it.
die. He also did die with saying "I am Iron Man." Complete full circle from movie one too. You know,
Oh
like
yeah, true.
him saying anything else after is because they showed like deleted scenes where there's the scene where after he dies, everyone's crying and they do like the pan out and everyone's like doing like the like warriors kneel. They're like all kneeling for him, and people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this should have been in the movie," and I'm like. It was cool to see, but they do the same thing in the funeral. So it's like you would have been showing two funeral scenes.
The funeral scene is so good.
And the craziest thing about that scene is they were all there. Like there was no fixing in digitally. They were all there. Like the scene was actually filmed with them there. And I guess they said it was a wedding, which I don't know how they captured that emotion being like, yeah, it's a wedding. You're all in suits standing there.
And then
know?
and then the kid from Iron Man 3 is in it. It's just
Yeah.
there. I remember every
I
year
think I
being
was
like,
one of
who
the.
the fuck is that person?
I think it
I
was.
think
I
you
was one
told
of.
me.
Yeah, I was one of the only people not one of the only people, but one of the only super nerds to be like, it's a kid from Iron Man 3. Because I think Sam looked over, she's like, who the fuck is that kid? I was like, oh,
Yeah,
he's a
I
kid from
straight up
Iron
was like,
Man 3.
I was like, who the fuck is that?
But I also, as a complete psychopath, before Infinity War came out, I watched the whole MCU front to back in order.
I did that before.
Besides,
I did that before Infinity War and before Endgame.
oh man, you're crazier than I am. I just didn't watch Incredible Hulk because I really
I
don't like
get it.
that movie.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, I
I
get it.
don't.
I know.
I love Edward Norton,
Whatever.
and that movie just bums me out. So I'm like, I don't need to watch that again. I don't.
Do you love Edward Norton? How many good Edward Norton movies exist?
Well, it might just because Fight Club is one of my favorite movies, and that's why I love Edward
Yeah,
Norton.
Fight Club is a great movie.
He has another good movies, but that movie just sticks out for me, I guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and say him and Tom Hardy are two people whose acting I adore, whose movies are fucking horrible. Horrible.
There's good Tom Hardy movies, but there also is bad ones.
Name 4.
Lawless, good.
Fuck off, Sean.
I like Lawless.
No, that movie's terrible. All right,
okay. The only thing
that part of the conversation is over.
The only thing bad about that movie is that he gets his
everything
throat slit and then he dies of like fucking flu or something at the end.
Yeah,
which
but
is like
even that
the
part's like kind of sticky and weird. I don't know. That movie sucks. The longest movie that nothing happens in. The one where he's like the twins. Oh my god, that movie's bad.
I couldn't watch that movie, honestly. I was stoked for it. I was
horrid.
like, Tom Hardy playing 2 roles, and I think I watched the beginning of it and turned it off.
Yo, Venom is so bad. Venom is horrible. Anyway,
here's my thing on Venom. The movie is a mess, complete mess. I like
total fucking mess.
It's like 2 movies simultaneously happening at once, and then they crash at the end. But the comedy in it is funny to me because it's super fucking weird, and it's like it's a super throwback to the Venom comics because Venom comics are really weird. So I liked that. I could accept that, and I liked him as Eddie Brock. So that gave me hope for future movies to be like
Tom Hardy. Another Tom Hardy role of him muttering in a different dialect. Jesus Christ! He's just I really like you a lot, and I love you, and I just really want to, be a good guy. I don't want to eat people's heads. It's like, oh my God, Tom Hardy, use your whole voice, dude. Talk.
But I do love Joey Stone and I talked about this, and we both really love Dark Knight Rises, which I know that movie is.
Yo, I like Dark Knight. I love that movie too. Great movie.
Oh wow! I mean, we're in a select group here. I love it. But
it's a great film.
Yeah, him as Bane is awesome. You almost can't even tell it's Tom Hardy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think that he made a weird choice with the voice.
I think that everyone shits on the voices in Batman, and it's like, who cares? Like,
I don't care about the voice to think that Bruce Wayne wouldn't have to mask his voice, being one of the most famous people in the world. Yeah, obviously he has to do that, and I have no problem with it.
That brings me to like an MCU thought is that the one thing that's the funniest thing about the MCU is their disguises. They're always just in a jean jacket and a hat, like in a hoodie.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. Scarlet Witch, she's got a disguise going where she loses her accent. It's really impressive.
That is funny. It's almost like I wish they did it more gradually. It would have made more sense because obviously she's hanging out with Americans, so and she's trying to be like a spy with everyone else. So that would have made more sense. But if it wasn't from straight Russian to American in one movie, it would have been a little better. And it's funny because it kind of peaks back a little bit, especially in Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah. She'll like have a little bit of a Russian like ting to it or whatever.
Yeah,
or not even Russian.
Clearly that it's very clear she just can't do it.
Yeah. But that's besides the fact. Is there anything else you enjoyed about the movie? I think that was it.
I generally I didn't love the time heist, but I definitely didn't hate the movie. Like I definitely didn't hate it. It definitely was enjoyable in a lot of ways. And so I think that progressing Hulk through every form of Hulk has been a funny thing to watch. He's already Professor Hulk. He was Planet Hulk before. It's like they're just blowing through fucking Hulks. And in the next version that he's in, I guarantee that Hulk will be disconnected from Bruce Banner.
Oh, you think he really just takes himself out?
Yeah.
Interesting. That could be interesting because that could actually give you a real Planet Hulk that's like crazy fucking berserker. Or they could do it because there is, when he becomes Smart Hulk, there is times where he goes like full on, like he can be Smart Hulk, but he can be full on crazy World War Hulk too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll do that too, where they kind of just go like, hey, big guy, take over, go fucking crazy. But
yeah,
who knows?
Ragnarok Hulk is the best Hulk by far.
He was awesome. Him like making puny arms.
yeah. The fire thing, the whole fire thing. It's genius.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's probably all I like about Endgame, to be honest with
you. I mean, you still have a positive outlook on it. You're just very critical on it.
Yeah, I'm very critical about it.
And, you can be the 1% of people who didn't enjoy the movie and think it was one of the best superhero movies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. I mean, we can argue about it until the day is over, but we still love
the cows come home.
We still love each other in the end, and we'll still have our own opinions.
Right, exactly. People need to learn from that. People need to learn. That's what they should take from this episode.
I'm just glad I could prove you wrong on a few of them. That's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely took a few of the things that you said and agreed. I definitely love pointing out plot holes to you that you can't disprove because I can tell that it hurts your soul, which makes me so happy.
Yeah, I know.
Not because I want to hurt your soul, but because it's just so funny because you are so adamant about the perfection of that film that when I point out plot holes that you can't change, it's like I can feel it in your heart.
I'm very much like Kevin Smith. I'm very easy to please. So I don't like rating movies because I'm too easy on a lot of movies. Because if I like it, I just like it. I can say things like, "Oh, I mean, this could have been better," but I'm not a movie critic, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, I mean, if I was a movie, like I'm not going to make movies, so I'm not going to be like, if I made this is what I would do. But sometimes I will, if But for the most part, I watch movies to enjoy them, not to. Because I've had the same conversation with other friends about different movies, about how like, oh no, I like this. And they're like, well, this is why I didn't like it. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, we can sit here and have a good conversation about it and still not agree on it at the end, and that's fine. It's okay.
Right. Whereas I personally subscribe to the belief that like I watch movies, I consume media, right? So I have earned the right to have an opinion about it.
Oh, of course.
And so, but I also subscribe to the belief that like I can think something sucks and not have the answer to how to make it not suck.
That's true.
And still be right that it sucked. Like it's not my job to make something better. It's not my job to fix it. It's like when you really love a sports team and you're like, wow, like I think they should do this differently. And people are like, well, how do you think they should fix that? It's like, well, that's not my fucking job. Like I just believe this thing. Like I just think that's true. It's not my job. I don't get paid to fix that shit.
Exactly. That's the beauty of the thing. You can have an opinion, and if it's not your area of expertise, like you shouldn't be expected to feel to be like this. No, this is how they should do it. It's like, well, you're not a movie producer or a screenwriter. Like how would you expect someone like us to fix that? It's impossible.
And trust me, I have opinions on everything.
I have opinions too. Some of them mostly are positive.
It literally never stops. I literally never don't have an opinion. I don't know if that made sense. That's a double negative. You're a double negative.
It's fine.
All right. Anyway.
Okay. I want to end it. I'm doing a section at the end called Metalcore Minute. So you have a 1 minute to say anything you're into right now. It could be music, TV, whatever. So
are you going to time me right? Are you going to time me?
I'm going to loosely time you.
Wait. Give me 1 second. I'm going to time myself.
Oh, that's fine.
Stopwatch. My stopwatch has been on for 120 hours.
That's
a
little much.
I must have used this a while ago. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Boom. Metalcore minute. All right. So right now, I'm going to go first and foremost. I've already wasted 6 seconds. My band Great American Ghost came out with a record a little over a month ago called Power Through Terror. You should go listen to it. Go subscribe to us on Spotify. Go follow us on Spotify. Whatever the fuck the terminology is, I don't really know because I use Apple Music because it cares less about me, and I like that. With that being said, go listen to Power Through Terror. We appreciate everything. At Gag Boston for our Instagram and at Gag Boston for our Facebook and shit. So go like everything. Without that, I will say that what I've been into is that I've been doing this thing while in quarantine where I only watch movies that I've never seen before. And I just want to take this 25 seconds to rave about how unbelievable Pan's Labyrinth is. It is arguably a perfect film, and I love it. And I can't believe that it took me so long to watch it. I know that it took me that long to watch it because I can't read subtitles because I read like a third grader, but that movie is legitimately perfect. 1 minute, boom.
Boom. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. This is my first episode, so thanks for diving into this. Actually, I'm going to re-say that because Sam said say dive into this. She said I shouldn't. She doesn't want me to become a meme. I guess I don't know.
Wow,
She's my manager. She is harsh.
She's producer. Yeah, she's producer.
That's why I love her. But thanks for being on this episode for me. I knew I had to have you on it. Like I said, we go back with these kind of discussions anyway, so we might as well record it and let people listen to it and judge us for it.
Yeah, totally. I hope that I've made at least one person upset with my views on this movie.
I honestly hope you made a lot of people upset. That's fine.
Me too, man. I hope I piss everybody off with my hatred for Endgame.
But thank you very much. Like he said, listen to Great American Ghost New Record, Power Through Terror, and I'm sure I'll have you on this again, talking about something else.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's talk about the Dark Knight trilogy. Let's talk about something that I love.
Ooh, I would love to do that. I have to wait because I just talked to Joey about the Dark Knight a little bit. So
have me and Joey on at the same time. We'll just talk about how great that Dark Knight trilogy is.
I'm down with that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I love doing these things, so I would love to come back. And also, I just want to throw this out there for everybody who's listened for this long. Batman from 1989 with Jack Nicholson. That movie is terrible.
Oh, all right. I hate you.
Cool. And thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Bye.
And there it is. I hope you guys like this one. I really liked having those conversations with Ethan. I'm sure I'll have more with him on different topics as this whole podcast thing goes along. If you want to support the podcast, follow on social media at Metalcore Nerds. Share the episodes on social media. Tell a friend you think would like it. Subscribe and rate on Apple Podcasts. That's super important for podcasts. Follow on Spotify. It's also available on Stitcher and Google Play if those are your means of getting podcasts. And if you want to support monetarily, go to redcircle.com/metalcore-nerds/donations. And that's it for this episode. Until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.